right, so I want to make some room for what's not working, right? Because that's where you kind of go next, is like there's other things that we can talk about too that are not working. And so if anyone is with any of the habits thus far, I mean, does anyone feel like we've really kind of cruised through these habits? We keep it moving around here. But the nice thing is you keep doing the same habits, and we keep cruising around the quarters, the seasons. And so if it's not about doing everything perfectly, right? It's just about getting it and making small improvements and starting to gain traction. The more present we are when we're eating anything, the more the body's able to sense which body it's feeding. And so for those of us who go into this pattern of like, I shouldn't be eating this, I shouldn't be eating this, right? Can anyone besides me relate to that? Like, I don't really want this right now, you know, or however it shows up, just stop and just taste it. Like, just really taste it. And I know you've all heard this before, but just do it. Just like really enjoy nourishment. And your body soon will be like, we do not want any more of that. And the more you can teach your kids that, like, awesome, you're having a s'more and the marshmallows are gooey and the chocolate's running down your face. Like, isn't this awesome? Taste it, like be in it. Isn't it so sweet and crunchy and amazing? And like slow down and just yum. And then drink some water, because that usually you need that after an experience like that. And then, you know, like usually there's not this some more. I don't actually want some more. I'm contented. And the more we put control over it, I was just in a campground at Hebgen Lake, which is a couple hours north here. It's right outside of Yellowstone. And you know, it's kids everywhere, and the kids all find each other and play, and it's awesome. And some families had this like control over allotting the number of s'mores. I'm like, it kind of defeats the purpose of the name of the treat. And like, why bother if you're going to do it that way? Like, if you're going to create this control environment over you know, like, is that fun? Because then they always want more. But like, what if you take that out? Like, what if you take out that, again, that duality, and instead you just really enjoy the experience? Now, some kid or some adult will eat too many and will feel sick. I promise you that. Like, that, it's a real thing and it'll happen. But can we even be present with that? Because the more we're actually able to process the experience that we're having, the less likely we are to repeat it. And so it always is just, can we just add a little bit more consciousness of like, wow, I'm gonna roast a marshmallow. I don't even know what that thing is. I don't even know what's in there, right? But I can be in it and nourish my emotional body, and then I'll be like, I definitely don't need to do that again. But wow, okay, moving on. I need a dandelion green. All right, let's talk about, I'm wondering what we need to talk about with rhythmic eating. I will just say, I'll go back to screen share for a few moments. So intermittent fasting, as I was writing Awake Living, and it is one of the things that I talk about in Earth Element, I had this, it's not picking up my square. Hold on, I try again. Pad, share, connect. I've been hearing some different words that people were using, and some people were talking about how the problem with the terminology of intermittent fasting is most people have a really negative association with emptiness and hunger, and a really visceral disinterest in fasting, right? Has anyone heard that term and been like, that sounds hard and not fun? Like, just the term, like the term itself is like a turn off of no thanks. So if we look at these words, and this is where naming things for yourself can really matter, or putting numbers like we did here, of just like, what if we change from plant-based diet, 100% of that, to 85% deeper nourishment? And there's a lot to what the yogis call matrika. So matrika is, it's sound vibration, and it's the naming of things. And it's pretty, you know, I mean, we can see this in every tradition. Like first there was the word, right? There's the way that we speak, it has a vibration, it has resonance, it impacts it creates cause and effect. So when I was really getting into this with the intermittent fasting, which isn't in the Body Thrive book at all, we do talk about meal spacing. That's another word that like, oh, how unsexy does it get? Meal spacing, intermittent fasting, right? And so when I really thought, like, what are we trying to do here? We're trying to more or less get in rhythm, get our digestive tract in pulsation with nourishment. It really should be rhythmic nourishment, but then that's too long. So I just call it rhythmic eating now. That's my new SEO. That's my new keyword. And the reason is the fasting here is that's the emphasis is on the fasting. But really the emphasis for most of us is it should be on the rhythm. So rhythm goes to intermittent where fasting goes to eating. So for some of us, just having this little, again, this like slight reframe of what is the rhythm of nourishment for my physiology? How many times a day does my physiology want to eat during the season, during this time of life, during everything I've got going on right now? What is that? And to be so curious about that question, because it can, I've noticed for me, it can change a lot. I more or less did more of a mind over matter with intermittent fasting at first, where I was kind of like forcing the habit, you know, of just like, I'm going to create this rule and see if I can shape shift into the rule. And a lot of stuff came up in that. But then over time, the rhythm got strong. Right, the rhythm starts to get strong. So now for me, I'm 45 years old. I'm a very active adult. I exercise a lot. Like on my treadmill desk on a typical day, I'll average 10 miles a day walking, plus I'll often do something else. I'm very active, and with rhythmic eating, with this mentality, this mindset, I'm usually I'm at 2 meals a day. And one of them is bigger, and one is actually pretty small. And it's honestly probably from the emotional body. I don't really think it has that much to do with like physiological nourishment, if you know what I mean. I think honestly, it's for my emotional body, and it's for social context. So it's social, I would call it social and emotional eating. But it's not bad, right? It's not necessarily as a negative. That can be a positive, having social and emotional eating. So where I was at with this habit 10 years ago, when I was still teaching these, I wasn't really teaching this habit, I was just teaching meal spacing, is I was probably at eating 3 to 4 times a day. Where I was at I was an unconscious snacker, I think, for most of my teens and 20s and whatnot. So what happens is our physiology is trying to get more efficient. So the more we find rhythmic eating, we actually then naturally have the rhythmic fasting. And what happens here is you have an increase in efficiency, in metabolic efficiency, which your body's trying to do naturally over time. Like your body is designed to save energy, right? I think we've all read enough science on that. Does anyone have any doubt that your body's trying to get more efficient as you age? It likes rhythm. It's trying to get smarter, right? Every cell of your body is trying to get smarter as you're getting older. And it's doing that to save energy, but it's also doing that to direct energy, right? So just ask yourself now, like this is my question to you, is what does your body want to direct energy to? And you could say energy could be resources, it could be attention, it could be healing. All these words to me are more or less the same same thing, consciousness. And can you all make a quick list of your of 3 things? It doesn't have to be that, they don't have to be in order. They don't have to even be right. You could later after this call make a list of 10 things and then select the top 3, and that would probably be smarter. What does your body want to direct energy to? And you can type it in the chat. So I'm just going to draw this little bucket. It's our little energy bucket. And say when the bucket's half full, you have your needs met. The body's got its needs met. But because of increasing efficiencies, what if then there's all this extra? This becomes extra resources. What is your body going to do with extra resources? For some of us who are really career driven, it's probably going to direct some to projects, to things happening in the mind, to focus attention and to drive a project forward. If anyone here is a pregnant, right? It's like, where do you end and the baby begin? Extra resources will become actually a more conscious child. Fascinatingly enough, this is an Ayurvedic perspective, that these extra resources due to the efficiency will raise the level of consciousness. It's kind of awesome, right? If you want a more healthy, vibrantly healthy, and more how do you say it? But basically, like, the capacity for consciousness to increase. There's a lot you can do in utero if you have that kind of efficiency freed up. Some of us need some repair. What needs some repair? What systems need repair? The immune system need repair. Does an organ system need repair? Sometimes it's super subtle, right? Like, the attention can be like super subtle awareness. So maybe there could be an evolution in, I'll say evolved, I'll just write evolved subtle body, that you can actually evolve physiology. There's anti-aging, where you can de-age yourself. The body loves to do this. It loves to do this with extra energy. And so if we look at, if we have time and we have the quantity of food, and we could just kind of mark off some decades here, right? So you've, I'll say you're 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, right? You get the idea of like how much food we need over time. There's probably, let me do this again. Obviously when you're little, you don't need as much food, but you need more constant food. So you could have number of feedings, or you could have quantity of food, right? Let's just say, like, we'll do this in 2 ways. I'll make 2 different lines here, and I'm totally making this up as I go along. Okay, this is unpremeditated, just so that we're on the same page with how messy this is going to get. So if we look at, if we just look at number of feedings, right? It's going to be like really high, and then it's going to go kind of maybe lower. Teenage years, it could spike, and then it's going to go lower, and then it goes to about 1 meal a day. So this could be our number of feedings, right? If you have an infant and you're feeding on demand, which is usually the recommended, and then you get into a schedule, but like it starts with just like on demand to pacify the nervous system. You could be nursing 20 times a day in that first week. It can be insane. It's like, Indy was saying, she was asking me on Winston's birthday. It brings up all these different conversations, and she was like, making everyone decide their favorite year of their life. And I was like, for me, it's always going to be now. I'm like, it just keeps getting better. So it's always going to be now for me, sweetie. And I was like, what about you? She's like, when I was 1. And I was like, why? Because I was born. And I'm like, oh, and she's like, wasn't that your favorite year? That the year I was born? I was like, no, because we were nursing. Like we both had a full-time job and it was called nursing. And I was trying to scale Yoga Healer. So it was like nursing and everything. It was just nursing, right? And that's awesome. Like lucky for her and lucky for me. Good for mom and good for baby, right? Actually promotes bone density in the mother to nurse and decreases risk of breast cancer to nurse. There's all these benefits to nursing. Nursing's amazing, right? But the number of feedings is really high. But somewhere around here, it gets to be like 2 a day, and then it can even drop. It can even drop. It doesn't necessarily have to, but it can. Because then the body just takes in and then it just slowly rests and it uses all the other energy to do other more important subtle body activities. Fascinating. All right, and this is why a lot of like yoga ashrams and stuff, they go more towards 1 meal a day with like a little bit of tea here or maybe an apple there, and it's really pretty mellow. So then the same thing with like the number of calories you could say, and again, I'm totally making this up top of my head, so this is not scientific at all. But obviously in the beginning you're really small, right? But then it goes up, like when you're in your teen years, and then it starts to go down and it goes down and it goes down and it goes down. So we'll just say this is like number of good calories. I'm not talking about crap. I'm talking about like deep nutrition, right? That curve in terms of quantity. And so if we're not doing this, forget this, right? Forget that extra energy. And actually what happens is horrible. And it gets more and more horrible. You get more and more symptomology with AMA over time. So if you're not digesting that food because you're not eating rhythmically, you're not allowing your digestive tract to rest, then there's a and I'm not going to draw this on here, but there's a corresponding increase in diseases of stagnation, which are the obesity, the diabetes, the heart disease, and the diseases of the sedentary diseases where we're eating more and sitting more, which are the same diseases. And even cancer falls in this category now because it's a lack of circulation. There's a lack of turnover, right? Cells become anaerobic. So then the question is to some degree is like, how much do I want to direct extra energy to things that are more important? And then what needs to change in my life to do that? Oh my gosh, I've got to go. I'm going to be late for something. I wanted to talk about that. Let's talk about it on the forum. Are we good? Is everyone inspired to explore this? Yay? Tell me on the forum how often, like what is your rhythm? What should it be for you? Like when you really get into redirecting energy to what's more important, how many times a day? And then we're just going to explore that just 1 week. Just try to do it this 1 week. I will too. We'll report on the forum and the assistants will help us with this conversation. Awesome. Thank you. Mwah. Adios.